What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video, we'll be going over the Monte Carlo catalyst and how it works. First off, this catalyst can drop from ritual playlist activities. For me, I played 4 games of Gambit and then it dropped. I then went to Shirochi and farmed a bunch of kills until the catalyst was complete. This took about 20 minutes on a Devour Warlock, and I think I needed around 700 kills. So once you do all that, you will unlock the catalyst. The catalyst states that 5 stacks of Markov chain, reload switches between your melee attack and Monte Carlo's bayonet. Landing a bayonet melee hit grants melee energy. So first things first, when you get Markov chain times 5, which you can do by getting any melee kill or 5 consecutive auto rifle kills, you can lock in the bayonet. You must do this while the Markov chain times 5 timer is active, because once that goes away, you cannot charge the bayonet. There doesn't appear to be a cooldown on how long it stays locked in. And you can swap weapons and it will stay locked, and when you pull it out, you will still be in bayonet mode. However, if you hit reload again, it will revert back to gun form and you cannot lock in the bayonet again until you get times 5. Another cool functionality it has is if you get a kill with the bayonet, it will reproc Markov chain times 5, and then you can just keep using the bayonet over and over again. One thing this doesn't do, however, is create orbs. I have heavy-handed on my gloves and it does not make any orbs of power on the bayonet kill. So that led me to my next question: does it stack with weapon surges? Well, I threw on 3 kinetic surge mods and tried it out, and the damage was exactly the same. I even tried void surges to match my subclass, but again, it never increased the damage of the melee. The next thing I want to say is that the melee appears to be coded as a base melee and not a powered melee, just from the interactions that I've seen while testing, including the fact that it doesn't make orbs. But I will show you how to get the absolute most out of the melee by the end of the video. Comment down below if you think you know what perks and exotics will stack to give the most damage. The results surprised me, so I'm curious what you think. So now that we have functionality out of the way, let's talk about what you are all watching this video for. Does it stack with melee boosting perks, be it from subclasses, exotics, or anything else? And that answer is, well, kind of. It stacks with some things and doesn't work with others. It synergizes with exotics like Khepri Sting and Necrotic Grips, but not exotics like Fellwinter's Helm. Again, it probably has to do with the fact that it is not a powered melee. So for this video, I am going to stick to the damage stacking side of things and not so much the utility tools that it stacks with, because I just like seeing number go up. So it stacks with Wormgod's Caress, Syntheseps, Winter's Guile, and Banner of War. So let's show some damage numbers. So a base bayonet melee hits Carl for 57,377 damage, and on a regular enemy it hits for 157,786 damage. So if we throw on Syntheseps, that damage goes up to 172,130 on Carl, and 473,356 damage on a red bar. So exactly 3x damage, which is what we would expect. Then we threw on Wormgod's Caress and proceeded to hit for 215,162 damage on Carl. This is a 3.75x damage increase. Next, we threw on the new Strand Aspect for Titan, Banner of War, and we hit for 220,900 damage on a red bar. This is a 40% damage increase. We then proc Biotic Enhancements from Syntheseps, and we have Banner of War up, and hit for 662,698 damage. This is a 4.2x damage increase, which is what we get when we multiply 1.4 times 3, so exactly what we would expect. What is cool about this is the bayonet melee gives us Banner of War times 2 from the kill, so it is nice that those synergize together. We then whack Carl for 240,981 damage. Next, we look at Offensive Bulwark, and oddly, when I have the overshield, it does not increase the melee damage. I know people were doing some insanely silly stuff back in the day with Offensive Bulwark and Shield Bash and 1-2 Punch, so Bungie must have nerfed this interaction. Conversely, something like Knockout on Arctitan also does not stack, you just get the Wormgod buff but no Knockout. Additionally, Roaring Flames does not increase the bayonet damage either. So here's hoping that Bungie doesn't nerf Banner of War working with this interaction after this video, because that aspect is fun as hell and I might make a video on it soon. So next we can look at Winter's Guile on Warlock, and it too hits for 3.75x damage on Carl at 215,162. Same as Wormgod's Caress. And that leaves us with the last part of the perk, which states a bayonet kill gives you melee energy. It appears to refund half of your melee. So now that we know what stacks and what doesn't, let's look at the highest damage combination that I could find, and that will be with Banner of War and Wormgod's Caress stacking. That is 3.75x times 1.4x, which is 5.25x damage. and that hits for 828,373 damage on a red bar and 301,227 damage on Carl. Just an absurd amount of damage. For reference, your base melee hits for 10,246 damage, and then you hit for 828,373. That is an increase of almost 81 times, so 8,000% more damage than a base melee. Also, pay attention to the melee energy I'm getting back with the bayonet kills. It's actually crazy. Like I said, half a melee charge for each bayonet kill. It gets me 2 full charges in 10 seconds. Just wild. So while the damage is great, don't sleep on how good it can be for melee based builds. Anyways, that is going to do it from me. I hope you found this video informative, and if you did, then a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. I was super happy to see that some of these melee boosting perks worked with the Monte Carlo catalyst. I can't wait to make some super fun builds in the future with these interactions. Anyways, if you watched this far, then I thank you so much for watching to the end. Have fun stabbing everything in sight with the bayonet, and take care.